Welcome back, everybody, to another Blu-ray update, or should I say a Criterion Collection Blu-ray update. And this is also going to be the last Criterion Blu-ray update of the year 2022, which was originally not planned to, but I'll explain here in a bit. But as you can see, these are the new Blu-rays I have gotten, three of which have already been released this month. Two of them had just been released on the week of Thanksgiving, one released back in August, and one that was released at the beginning of the month, and one that was released a few years ago. Now, as I have stated just a few seconds ago, this is going to be the last Criterion Collection Blu-ray update. Now, this was not planned to. Now, as you might know, I usually watch, a lot of the Criterion movies going by a decade backwards, for every, month or so. Well, for the last 3 months of this year, as we just already went through October, and also technically counting for this month of November and December, I haven't watched much of the 60s potential Oscar-nominated Criterion movies, except for at least some, with the exception of one that I did last month. But that is because, well, not saying I'm broke or anything, or nothing because of bankrupts or anything like that. It's just that I would not have a lot of money to purchase a lot of these recently. It's just because you gotta have to deal with bills. I'm sorry. That's the thing. Just bills. It's like it keeps going throughout every month, and it feels like with the inflation risings going on throughout our country, it's just, jeez. So I haven't really watched much. I'm gonna try to hopefully resume back, hopefully by January, but then again, you have tax season coming up, so oh boy. But at least I managed to purchase these, at least through a little bit of a $50 gift certificate. Now, this is also because I purchased a couple of them throughout this year, but also some regular Blu-rays that I've done throughout this year as well, and even during a couple of the holiday seasons. And there are still 3 regular Blu-rays that I want to get, but not at the perfect time right now because I gotta need the monies. So, but they're all gonna be taken away for bills and then for taxes, so well. But I am glad that I have gotten these, especially one film in particular that will be that's not in the center, but you know which one it is if you know which one you're looking at, the one that stands out the most. But I'm going to be going through the order of how I got them out of the box. A $500 reward. Buck the Preacher. Dead or Alive. Well, that's what it basically describes from one of the new releases that came out, or should I say one of the releases that came out this past August, since we're now in November. And this is Spy number 1140 from 1972 by Sidney Poitier, Buck and the Preacher. Now, I'm going to be honest, I did not know Sidney Poitier was also a director. I thought he was just an actor. But as you know, Sidney Poitier became one of the most influential African-American actors out there. He was the first African-American actor to win the Best Leading Acting category, the Oscars, for his role in Lewis in the Field in the decade prior. And he has directed a couple of movies, starring a couple of picture-winning nominated films, or even wins, like In the Heat of the Night, which is also in the collection. And this is his 1972 Western film, which has a theme of civil rights and exodusters. And this stars Poitier and Harry Belafonte. And this is basically after a post-Civil War movie, and there's still a bit of racial going on, but of course the end of slavery had happened, and still a lot of the characters are not getting respected from, of course, all the races down in the South. But there is also, I haven't seen the movie in a while. When this was announced, I watched the movie, and I actually did enjoy this. It's just kind of hard to remember this, but, and Buck was actually a former soldier, to some unsettled territories, in Kansas away from Louisiana in order to save. I'm just reading off the Wikipedia page. And they even tried to do the best to negotiate with Native Americans. But one of the biggest things that comes into this is that Buck is kind of a bit of a wanted criminal for some people. Not specifically on the crimes, but specifically all the racist people that wants to kill him. But there is somebody he does got inside, and that's a preacher played by Harry Belafonte. And, oh my gosh, although Poitier is the main star of the film, Belafonte is basically the one who steals it. Because Poitier's more standout is in the director's chair, but he is good in the acting. But Belafonte's performance just really outblew my mind. Now, I consider this in the list of the potential Oscar-nominated films in the 70s, because this was not nominated for any Oscars, but you do have people like Poitier behind the director's chair is the reason why I went with it. You would think a couple of other categories here, like costume design or production design, or the acting performances from Poitier or Belafonte. Ruby Dee is also in this one. Cameron Mitchell. I did not know. I don't remember Ruby Dee in the movie, but I think I know what she was. So yeah, and if you're wondering, this is just the frontlit cover of the booklet. I haven't. Obviously, I usually would read these after I'm done recording these, because I usually record them on the day when I get them, or a day or so. But I am very proud that this movie really worked for me. It is definitely a great message it has, because it is a post-Civil War movie. Like, a lot of the times it doesn't do well, like Son of the South. But if you have somebody like Sidney Poitier behind the director's chair and knows how to do it, he managed to nail it. And speaking of civil rights, here is one of the releases that just came out this Thanksgiving week. And this is Spy number 1160 from 1992 by Spike Lee, Malcolm X. The 3-hour biopic starring Denzel Washington about one of the biggest activists of the civil rights movement, Malcolm X. So, I am familiar with Spike Lee, and I have seen a couple of his movies, but this is, my history with Spike Lee is kind of interesting. Now, as of this recording, I have seen 5 of his movies, which this one is this one. The first one I did watch was back in the 2018 movie awards season with BlacKkKlansman, which I find that movie to be overrated. Just like, the story wasn't, even though it's kind of a fictionalized version of it, even though it's kind of a true story, but it just has a lot of compost characters. I kind of felt like I just didn't really know what the undercover cop story is. I know it's a real life story, as I said. It didn't connect with me. None of the actors didn't really go well. And although I do support the Black Lives Matter movement, but a lot of the times, everyone, even those who did enjoy it, said that the ending in BlacKkKlansman that he did was unnecessary. And even those who did enjoy it also criticized that as well. And then I also saw Do the Right Thing, which I just felt like the movie was complete filler throughout the entire movie until we got to the third act, and I kind of knew where it was going. Well, that was actually my third one. The second one I saw was Bamboozled, Spike Lee's mockery about blackface, which I kind of agree with the critics. I felt mixed with the movie. Like, there was a good half of the movie, and there's another one that I didn't like. So, it was very understandable how he mocked it and also showed that blackface is not okay. And Malcolm Bamboozled and Do the Right Thing are both in the Criterion Collection. And so, yeah, 2 movies I found overrated. 1 I agree with the critics I felt mixed with. And then I saw his last film, The Five Bloods, from 2020, and it was a good movie, had good performances. I just felt like the story was kind of a little bit odd. It just kind of took a bit while. It was kind of a little bit of a long movie, but the performances, especially from Delroy Lindo and Coleman Domingo, stood out to me. And then here comes Malcolm X, and I was blown away by this. I think this is my favorite movie I've seen from him. I've seen so far. I haven't seen like 25th Hour yet. But I was blown away by this movie. It is a bit of a long movie, but I recommend it. But the thing is, everyone says this, the real reason why you stick with that movie for about 3.5 hours is Denzel Washington's performance as Malcolm X. And if it wasn't for Denzel, the movie would have not worked. But it did, and the movie did got him nominated for Best Actor, and it also got a nomination for Best Costume Design. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get like any other nominations here. No BAFTAs. It was in the Globes for actor in a drama for Denzel. Was in National Board of Reviews 10. It was inducted into the National Film Registry. Uh, yeah, so I didn't. It's got no BAFTA nominations. And yeah, just no BAFTA nomination because Screen Actors Guild didn't exist yet until I believe for the films in 1995 or 96. Um, wow, I just really was amazed by this movie. And it's very interesting that you get to see an entire biopic story of Malcolm X. A lot of the times in modern biopics it doesn't, but this one did. Especially for not knowing much of the history of Malcolm X, because throughout my history during civil rights, of course, I kind of know a little bit about Rosa Parks, but mainly throughout Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but not really much on Malcolm X. This movie kind of really tells us everything why he is another important person of the civil rights era. And it's interesting how he was at the very beginning of his days, and actually was a bit of a criminal, and then spent his time in prison and actually was learning how to be a Muslim. And Malcolm X was a black Muslim, an African Muslim in the United States. So it kind of also shows him as just who he was in the past, but when he understands more about the Quran, and all the Muslim religions facts, I don't want to offend any Muslims viewers out there. I just want to refresh my memory. I might get that wrong, so I do apologize. It becomes the Malcolm X we all know. Like, he changed his personality throughout his life, and wow, he really just blew me away. Even if I'm a Catholic person, I'm just shocked how well he becomes as a iconic Muslim leader in the U.S. So Spike Lee just really did a well job. As I said, the movie is over 3.5 hours, but Denzel Washington's performance makes sure you enjoy it. And without Denzel, this movie would have not been kind of been a generic biopic, but Denzel's performance, Spike Lee's direction, I think he had a better ending. I think this is my favorite Spike Lee ending I've seen so far. And just well done to Denzel, and well done to Mr. Spike Lee. So yes, Spike, one of your films has finally joined in my collection of Blu-rays. Let's just see if The Five Bloods can make it to Criterion for Netflix. And now here it is. The one, although it's not the last one, but I'm going by the order how I got them out of the box. If this was last, this would have been a perfect finale, but here in the middle, it's fine. This has been one of the most anticipated releases for the month of November. And some people would say the Infernal Affairs trilogy. Some would say Malcolm X. Some would also say the next film that I'll be talking about here. My thoughts on the Infernal Affairs trilogy. First one was okay. Not a fan of the sequels. Well, I know I have to watch The Departed soon. I don't know when I'll do that. But here's the thing. This film was announced not on the day of the November releases, but it was announced a few weeks later. And it was the day before the D23 Expo, and sadly, hours before the death of Queen Elizabeth II. So it was just unfortunate bad timing. This announcement, when I saw this, I think was it was actually a tweet from Animet, aka Matt Brunet, aka Electra Dragon 505. And I was just like, is this real? Is this legit real? Because many animation fans have been waiting and waiting and waiting for a specific film from a media of movies to have a new release in the Criterion Collection. And this is it. The same day as Malcolm X, Spy Number 1161 was released on the same day from 2008 by Andrew Stanton, the Pixar film WALL-E. Ladies and gentlemen, not also we have the first computer animated film, the first Pixar film, and the first ever legit Disney film to be in the Criterion Collection, but specifically as well the fourth animated film to be released on Blu-ray or DVD or 4K on the Criterion Collection, and the 5th one in general, because the first animated film was Akira during the days of Laserdisc. They haven't got any Blu-ray or DVD rights to the Akira since, but they have 3 other animated films when they started doing DVDs and Blu-rays. Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox, Watership Down, which I actually have in the collection, and Fantastic Planet. And throughout almost every month, I have been waiting for an animated film to come to the collection. And then when I heard this, I was just shocked and surprised. Not also because we had finally a long-awaited animated film to the collection, but specifically it's a Disney movie. And as I've just stated, this is the first ever Disney film to be released in the Criterion Collection, and the first for Pixar. And you would think, what Pixar films would make sense in the collection? Obviously, there would be some that won't make sense, like the Toy Story movies, or Finding Nemo or Dory, or, Monsters, Inc., or The Incredibles 1 and 2. It just really depends. Or even like Soul or Inside Out. WALL-E makes a lot of sense. And it is one of the more unique Pixar films, and obviously the movie has not gotten a lot of recognition like in the theme parks or stuff, because of course you can't meet the robots, because if WALL-E was, he would run over your foot, unfortunately. So yeah, I have saw this many years ago, and I really did enjoy it. And there were a couple of times throughout my life I had enjoyed it. I didn't watch this in theaters, by the way. I think it was in 2010, my 10th birthday and New Year's Day of 2010, I decided to watch some of the other Pixar Blu-rays films that we had on DVD, and decided to watch them for the first time, and WALL-E was one of them. And I was just blown away by it, and I was surprised I really did enjoy this. And revisiting it when it was announced, I was just happy, because this is one of my favorite Pixar films. Now, before we begin, I just want to mention here that I do have one of the original Blu-rays here. This is, of course, a used Blu-ray that I got at Elite Games in my local area. I won't show the back because of how damaged a little bit the cover is. And so I decided to look at the bonus features here in the Blu-ray first. Now, I haven't looked at the supplements in here yet because I just got this today. And I already had looked at this, specifically for the bonus features, and some of the features were not bad. There were some good ones, but there were a lot more for the bonus features that I would have enjoyed as a kid, like some of the robot facts, or there was even like arcade games in this, and I was kind of surprised about that. So here we got a couple of new features. I know the documentary The Pixar Story is in here. Yes, it is. But there are a couple of new supplements, and one of Andrew Stanton's student films, Bernie, the short film that was also kind of similar to Connected with the movie, is also in here. Surprised that Presto is not in here, which is the short that was released before WALL-E. And as we all know, I don't really go into much of WALL-E, but as of this recording, I just want to mention about its Oscar thing. It ties with Beauty and the Beast with the most animated film with the most Oscar nominations. Of course, no shock, it won for Best Animated Feature, but it was also nominated for Original Screenplay for Andrew Stanton, Jim Reardon, and Pete Docter, Original Score, Original Song for Down to Earth, Sound Editing, and Sound Mixing. And ironically enough, some people said that this and Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, missing a Best Picture nomination, was the reason why the Academy expanded the nominations from 5 to 10, and then throughout 9s and 8s throughout the last decade, and now permanently at 10. We may be seeing a 4th animated film in picture, depending on how Guillermo del Toro does, but you have to see my Oscar nomination predictions to see where I'm at for the month of November, when that will be the next video after this one. Wow, I've been talking a lot about this, and I haven't really gone into this. Now, the thing is, when this was announced, I was really excited. Only downgrade was that it was only going to be on a 4K Blu-ray, 2-disc Blu-ray combo. That's it. Nothing else. And for me, 4K, I just felt like it's kind of overrated, because what? You just get the movie on a 4K disc and that's it. nothing else. Like, you don't get the supplements, you don't get any audio commentaries, you just get the movie, just for better quality purposes. And so this was the only option. I couldn't do a 2-disc Blu-ray like the original, but I believe this original Blu-ray is a 2-disc DVD combo, and this one's just a 4K disc Blu-ray combo. So when I first opened this, I was surprised how big this was, because I thought it was going to be a normal one like Malcolm X or Bucky the Preacher or the next one. But since it is a combo, it did came with this glass, unfortunately. This kind of like, no, like not glass, but like this plastic style they have. Like they have on the Silence of the Lambs in my Blu-ray DVD combo of Y Tu Mama Tapian, and also another Blu-ray DVD combo that we'll look at, which will be the last one. So the 4K disc is here. Never going to use it. I know I don't have a 4K player, but I am very curious about these 2-disc Blu-rays to see what comes in with these two. I will be doing to see which one I think is going to be better. I'm not going to do a video on that because I think people are already going to be doing that. So, yeah. The cover just looks amazing. I am very curious to look at this. I mean, look, Trash Planet. That was the original title that Wall-E was given when Pete Andrews started in production of writing the script for that movie. So, I am very curious what the book list says. So, I would love to talk about a lot of this, but it's almost 10 minutes that I've been talking about this. But thankfully, we got a long-awaited animated film, The Collection. We might see maybe other animated films could jump in the round. Maybe we could finally see like Isle of Dogs or A Scanner Darkly or Wildlife to be in the collection. Maybe some of the Netflix films like Klaus maybe, or I Lost My Body. Maybe Del Toro's Pinocchio could be for its home media release. Maybe we might see some other Pixar films that would make sense. Like, I could actually see Ratatouille being part of this collection. And because it's the only other Pixar film, and maybe Up, are the only Pixar films I can think that could make sense in this collection. Maybe The Good Dinosaur, but I don't really know about that one. But Ratatouille feels like needs to be in this collection, because it is a very unique Pixar film compared to a lot of the main ones. And Wall-E is definitely one of my all-time favorite Pixar movies, and I'm so happy. I can't say which one's better, because I might give this to a family member or something like that, or just keep it as an extra, but I just wanted to see what's in those. And I'm talking over 10 minutes, and I still got 2 more movies, so Wall-E, your time's up, buddy. As I just stated with Wall-E, November has been a very highly anticipated month for Criterion collectors or home media collectors, because not just also with Wall-E and Malcolm X, but I also mentioned the Infernal Affairs trilogy, and this one that was released in the beginning of the month, Spy number 1158 from 2021 by Jane Campion, The Power of the Dog. And we have our next new Netflix movie that was released in the Criterion Collection, and I believe the third one for this year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, third one for this year, because I had the other 2 that were released this year, Dick Johnson Is Dead and Okja, and now we are coming into The Power of the Dog. Now, before I begin, I want to discuss a little bit my thoughts on Jane Campion. It's just that the 2 films that are in the collection, obviously with An Angel on My Table and The Piano, which was released at the beginning of the year, I just couldn't get into this. I just couldn't get into those movies, and I just couldn't really get into them, especially The Piano, and like, why it won original screenplay, why Anna Paquin won supporting actress, why Holly Hunter won actress. It almost looks like what would happen if Schindler's List was released in another year or didn't exist. The Piano would have been a picture and director winner. Well, I knew I was going to have to watch The Power of the Dog regardless because of the Oscar season, and I did enjoy this movie. I was kind of a little bit hesitant, but I am very glad I did. Now, it is a bit difficult to talk about this movie, although it's been over a year since it's been out, but it was the Best Picture nominated movie of 2021, of that year, that you cannot spoil. You couldn't spoil the movie. And if I go into what the plot is, you already are going to get spoiled, because the trailers don't really know much. Unless if you have read the novel the movie was based on, then that's fine. But it's like, ever since Parasite, which that movie is in the collection here as well, there's only one nominated film from each of the picture nominees that you cannot spoil. 2019 was Parasite, 2020 was Promising Young Woman, and now 2021 was The Power of the Dog. I wonder what's going to be next. What, Avatar: The Way of Water or Babylon? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Depending, or even Women Talking. It really depends. So I can't really go much into it, but I really did enjoy what Campion did with the story of having it a chapter structure, like The Worst Person in the World, which was also I also got in the collection that was also released this summer as well. Um, Benedict Cumberbatch, fantastic performance. Kirsten Dunst, really well done. Jesse Plemons, also great as well. Cody Smith-McPhee, I didn't really care about. I'll just all say about that. Now, of course, for the Oscars, Campions, like throughout that award season, I knew Jane Campion was going to sweep director regardless. This movie did win Best Picture at the Critics' Choice, the Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture Drama, and the BAFTA. But of course, for the Producers Guild and the Oscar, it lost to Coda. And I would have to say, in terms of my picture ranking, it would be at number 6. Yeah, it would be at number 6, because I think Coda, Licorice Pizza, Dune, Drive My Car, and King Richard were better movies. But it is better than, oh boy, I'm losing track here. Don't Look Up, Belfast, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story. I would definitely agree on a picture nomination, the Best Actor nomination for Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst. I would not mind Jesse Plemons, of course, for if I did a personal lineup for the Oscar movies of 2022, but Plemons would not make it, unfortunately. The movie was also nominated for cinematography, film editing, original score, production design, and sound. Also throughout this season at the BAFTAs, got almost everything except for Kirsten Dunst and some of the other categories. Critics' Choice, it also won adapted screenplay and cinematography. Campion won the Directors Guild. Yeah, the movie was basically like the critics' movie of the year in all critics' award societies, except for like New York and Los Angeles, which went to Drive My Car. But every best pitch, like there are some, like I can see St. Louis, Toronto gave it as the runner-up. Let's see. Washington, D.C. didn't give it to it. Seattle didn't give it to it. Like, there are some critic societies, but like Online Film Critics Society, New York Film Critics Society, let's see, of course it was going to win London, Houston. It didn't win Hollywood Critics Association. That actually did win to Coda. It actually is nominated for a Grammy right now for Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media. That's interesting. Of course, Gold Derby, the experts, they always go with the big picture, her Critics' Choice favorite as always. So, I can't really go much into details for spoilers, but I am still a perfect sweep with Netflix movies in the Criterion Collection. I'm very curious what would be their first release for next year. Are we going to see, like, Don't Look Up, or are we going to see The Two Popes? Or we're going to see Mank, The Trial of the Chicago 7, which that's one I really want to see in the collection. Maybe Klaus for next holiday season? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. So Netflix ends up their round, and I'm 3 out of 3 on their Netflix releases on the Criterion Collection this year. And finally, for the last Criterion Blu-ray update of the year, this was the only 60s movie I managed to watch last month. Before I kind of had to stop it to save money. And this was the only one I did like from the minimal ones I watched, and this is Spy Number 707 from 1962 by Dino Risi, Il Sorpasso, or known in English, The Easy Life. This is actually an Italian road trip movie starring Vito Vittorio Gassman and Jean-Louis Triton. I know who the latter is because I believe he's also one of the stars of the Austrian movie Amor, and I think he's also in a couple of other movies that are in the Criterion Collection. I believe I do have one of them. I just don't have it on the top of my head right now. So yeah, this is basically an ultimate Italian road trip movie, and wow, this was a fun movie. I mean, there are some road trip movies that do work, especially like a world one, like Until the End of the World. But then there are some that didn't work, like Paris, Texas. But there are also a couple other good ones. Or like I know there's one of Jim Jarmusch's movies as well that I don't have. Technically, maybe you can also count Down by Law, another good one. But like there are some good road trip ones. There are some weak ones, but this is definitely one of the funner ones. And I mean, it's just one guy decided to bring in a totally stranger they'd never met before, and drive throughout most of the time. I'm around throughout some major countries, visited family members, or like this guy specifically is the main guy who took him, which I believe that's Stryden, and just drive throughout mainly a lot of places, and just like going through a beach, as you can see throughout this portion of this, is mainly like around the third act, and it's just like a bizarre adventure and stuff like that. I mean, just mainly credit to Gossman and Triton's performances. They just really nailed the bag on that, and just an awesome, fun road trip movie. It is kind of a shame, and this would have been a potential Oscar-nominated movie because of the director behind it, because he had, like, I think a couple films that could have been potential, because potential, like there are a couple of other movies he has made, but some of them could have been potential nominations, or even some of the stars he has had, so that's the thing, so... Wow, I just had a lot of fun time watching this. It is a kind of shame I can't finish like some of the potential 60s movies I still have left on my list. I just have to wait till the beginning of next year to see where we're at, unless taxes do something to slow me down as well. And I just forgot to mention, this is a 2-disc DVD Blu-ray combo, and once again, it's in that style, which I'm not really a fan of. That's also, of course, on the Wally release as well. So that's the only drawback, but I would just have to read these booklets now and explore these to see what awesomeness are these in these collections. I might have said that. Oh well. Let's just move on to the end of this video now. And that kind of wraps up my Last Criterion Collection Blu-ray update of the year. I won't do like I did last year of a full collection. I would probably do that once I finish like the 1950s, which that will be a while. So hopefully by the beginning of next year, I can try to resume back the potential 60s Oscar-nominated movies, to try to finish it up, and also plan for some of the releases that are coming out this year. And I know for January, I am going to be looking forward to one film that I had saw and I really did enjoy. So we'll see what comes in for the year of 2022, and maybe more animated films could come into the Criterion Collection. So thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, comment down below if you enjoy these movies, and until whatever Blu-rays I get for the holiday season, and until next year for the Criterion Collection, I'll see you next time.